Honolulu Exposed presents another episode of World War II Matchbooks with your host, Carter Lee Churchfield.
This is my intro song. It isn't very long. Hey. Aloha! Welcome to my video about my victory matchbooks. These are matchbooks from the United States World War II era. Now you might be thinking, matchbooks? Jesus Christ, this sounds boring. It's not just about the matchbooks, though. It's about what they represent. Sometimes it's ships, sometimes it's ideas, sometimes it's people. So keep an open mind. I bought a costume for this video that was Navy themed, so it just came in the mail, so I'm actually gonna go try it on for you now. This is my military costume. At first I was proud of it, but upon further inspection it looked a little off. I couldn't quite put my finger on why, so I ditched that and tried my different 1940s costume. Again, it doesn't quite look like the picture. I don't know why there are these inside-out pockets on the chest area, but I know what I'll do. I'll stuff the chest with the skirt from the other costume. All right now, va-voom. Something still seems a little off, though. Not quite sure. Oh well. That's when I remembered I bought a wig. 1940s style. I gotta try at least once the wig with the military hat at the same time. Ta-da! Now back to matchbooks. Navy ships made their own matchbooks on board. As you see, most of them were blue or had blue in them. Some of them have the silhouettes of ships, and it's fun to look at old footage to compare the matchbook silhouette to the real thing. These are my matchbooks from ships that were in Pearl Harbor when the Japanese attacked. I'm working on getting a complete set. There were 86 U.S. Navy ships in Pearl Harbor during the attack, which brings me to why the U.S. entered the war in the first place.
December 7th, 1941. No American will ever forget this Sunday morning in Hawaii. America lost 3 battleships on that infamous day. The USS Nevada was beached, but its matchbook is in good condition. Is it tacky to show this? Well, here it is anyway. It has a wolf head on it. The USS Oklahoma was capsized, a total loss for our Navy. There's the propeller. On fire here is the USS Maryland that printed pink matchbooks for some reason. Fourth, we have the matchbook from the USS Tennessee, which is nice and silvery. Ultimately, the greatest tragedy and loss was that of the USS Arizona, the pride of the Pacific Fleet.
There, you see that? There are 6 men left alive in that room. They climbed down the hot metal ladder to the deck, and they waved until someone on another ship saw them. The ship closest to the Arizona was the USS Vestal, and on the Vestal was Joe George. Now, Joe George had gotten drunk the night before and gotten in a fight, so when the battle started, he was in the brig, the jail of the ship. Somebody had to let him out so he could join the battle. Now, he sees those men on the other ship, and he wants to throw them a rope. But an officer comes along and says, "Those men are as good as dead. Leave them be." Joe George defied a direct order to tie a weight to the end of a rope. He starts swinging it around his shoulder, and when he lets it go, that rope sails 70 feet from one ship to another. Those 6 men catch the rope, they tie it off, and they go hand over hand from one ship to another, and they lived. I have met 2 of them. I met Lauren Bruner and I met Lou Conter, and that act of heroism from Joe George is why my favorite fleet matchbook is not the USS Arizona. It is the USS Vestal. So yeah, matchbooks can be really intense, okay? Remember Pearl Harbor was the rallying cry, and Hawaii was the home front. Now check out this extra wide matchbook. Isn't it beautiful? On the inside, Reese Drugs. Remember, these were advertisements primarily. Hence, you were not a patriot if you didn't buy Swan's paper napkins. Imperial cleaners, rebel scum not welcome. Imagine your dry cleaners have a business card, and on that business card is a tank, a battleship, and a warplane. Here are straight up V for Victory matchbooks. Mostly they ask people to finance the war by buying stamps and war bonds. A war bond is a loan to the government that you get back later with interest. Speaking of war bonds, buy more war bonds and stamps. So a war bond is like a loan to the government and you get it back later with interest. This is a fun little aside. Some of the prostitutes who worked in Chinatown, Honolulu, had a hard time hiding their money from the cops, so they invested in war bonds. And one madam sold so many war bonds, over $130,000, that she got a personal thank you note from the United States Treasurer thanking her for her patriotism. Speaking of prostitutes, matchbooks could also remind you not to get venereal disease. VD, easy to pick up, kind of like this trollop on the front of this matchbook here. Even Snafu knows VD can be prevented. The last part of my video will be dedicated to matchbooks making fun of Hitler. Here we have Hirohito, Mussolini, and Hitler all struggling under the mighty boot of Uncle Sam. This is my favorite matchbook making fun of Hitler. It says strike at the seat of trouble, and that is a pun because the strike pad is Hitler's bum. Here he is trying to take over the globe, bending over. Now, if you look inside, the matches are still intact, and they are bombs. So you can take a bomb and strike it on Hitler's butt. With that, I'll be signing out. Right now I have 329 subscribers. I want to say thank you so much for subscribing. You keep me motivated to keep making videos. Next time I'd like to show you my stamp collection. So with that, aloha. This is the end song, you wanted music. These are the credits and they are short.